My name is Tamas Braun. I work for a company called IND Group. We're in the banking IT software business, and actually precisely it's the front office technologies we provide for banks. So what I'm going to speak about today is customer experience usability in the online or digital channels. I think it's fairly a cliche question in a conference like this. What do your customers think about your services? I could pretty much resonate what Mark said about his hotel experience in London, but I wouldn't be so kind to actually say another hotel experience to you. I'd like to say an experience in payments, in banking, so excuse me for that. I travel to the Middle East quite a lot. I happened to be in Dubai a few weeks ago, and the day went through pretty normally. I used my debit card to pay for a lunch. I took out some cash to pay for my taxi. The day went by, I went to bed, and I woke up quite early in the morning to catch my flight back to London. What happened is that my card was blocked by my very kind bank. Without giving me a call, without sending me a text, they thought that the card being used in Dubai is a security risk because I have not in advance informed them that I'm going on a business trip. This has happened before. I know what happened, so I immediately gave them a call at 4 o'clock in the morning in front of the receptionist to get the card unblocked. Now, as you can imagine, I was faced with the challenge to go through the IVR. That took me a couple of minutes to speak to an operator at 4 o'clock in the morning. She immediately understood the situation. She asked me all the security questions, which is quite normal at this stage. And obviously, at 4 o'clock in the morning in a hotel in Dubai trying to pay my bill in front of the receptionist, I was not really in a position to get my security code, which is not your online banking code. It's not your PIN number. It's a third one. It's, you know, sir, the one which is the phone banking security code. I had no idea what that was. So what that means is that we need to go through another additional 5 security questions, such as what was your last spending on the card, what is your home address, and so on and so on and so on. Fine. This took about 10 minutes now. And finally, I was informed that my card can be unblocked. It can take up to 4 hours. Great. I ended up using another card, obviously, and just about made the flight. Just about catch it. So that experience, made me, first when it happened, sort of disappointed with the bank. And then I started to be angry, and eventually I decided to close the account and move to another one. Now, that's not to say that the other high street bank in the UK does things differently in this respect. It's pretty much the same. That's a standard. But as a customer, I hate these things. I hate the tokens which I have to use to log into my online banking services. I have 2-3 accounts in the UK. I don't want to carry 2-3 tokens. Why would I carry that on a business trip? They look like calculators. Right? It's maybe a necessity, I understand, just as the hangars in the hotel, what Mark showed you. There is probably a very good business case behind it, why that is required, probably security. But as a customer, I don't want to understand that. And I hate those things. So I'm sure there are many other ways to measure customer satisfaction. And First Direct seems to be on top of that. And I became First Direct as a customer. I became a customer of First Direct. But in one simple way, you're either happy with the service you get, or either unhappy, just as this kid when he got the little dog instead of the pony. Right? That is ultimately what customer experience means to me. I'm either happy or not happy. Now we can talk about what that customer experience is and how that is actually evolving in customers. Certainly there is something called customer expectations. That is, we believe, is a direct link between customer experience and customer expectations. If I had this bad experience with a bank and I move on to another bank, which seems to be on the top, then my expectations are fairly high because I know what they actually offer. And I would expect that from all the other banks as well if I actually open another account with another bank. Now, there is one slight, I think, issue with customer expectations when we look at, for example, the banking industry, that customer expectations do change. Just as it changed in other industries, look at electronics or televisions. This was not so many years ago when your television looked like this, and the family was the most happiest that they actually managed to buy a black and white television. This is what it looks like now. Okay? You cannot simply remain on the same level, providing services to your customers or products or technology, and be happy forever. So customers' expectations do change, and you need to take that into account into your services. Going into the future, this is one of my friend's 4-year-old kid touching the television because he is clearly, at 4 years old, an iPad user. His expectation will be, maybe in a couple of years, to have a touch screen, so when he's passing by the television, he can change the channel. That's what he's doing at the age of 4. The other important aspect, I believe, with online services in the financial technology, that these services are being compared to some of the big names we heard before already. Amazon is pretty much #1 in online services. When you go into the office, you immediately open Facebook, most probably, at least some of you, to check on your friends. PayPal, YouTube, eBay. These are all names with excellent online services. This is why they're #1. And most of your customers use these services. And they compare financial services as well to these ones they use every day. This is especially true to the Y generation. They completely wired into these services. This is their life, literally every hour. And financial services, when they use self-services, online, digital channels, they expect the same level. They expect the same thing. So what do customers want then, after all this? Henry Ford famously said that if he asked his customers what they want, they would have said, "I want a faster horse." Right? Now, we tend to have in the financial industry the habit of being conservative. Customers don't clearly go to your branch and say, "I want mobile banking, otherwise I leave my bank." Or, "I want much better online services." They don't communicate this very clearly because I believe it's the responsibility of the bank to provide the best and the latest in technology, such as easygoing functionality. I know, again, it sounds a cliche, but what we mean by that is that 5-10 years ago, the boring, again, sorry, Mark, black and white, but sort of black and white color scheme of online banking services is what it used to be 5-10 years ago. It is what we're trying to say, that this is not good anymore in online services, in the digital channels. You've got to have a clear visualization of finances which are easy to understand even to the young generation. Usability is very, very key. One of the most frequently experienced or the most frequent complaints we heard in online services is that the transfer itself is so complicated that some people hate doing that. If you go on to Amazon, checking out a product which you put in your basket is fairly easy. So why can't you not apply the same sort of form or process into an account transfer online? Because that's what your customers expect. That's what they do, like in Facebook, in Apple, and in Amazon. So we believe that rearranging the process using accordion-style forms make a big, big difference in terms of usability and easygoing functionality. I think the other one is innovative tools, such as personal finance management. As a customer, do I really want to know my balance? Do I really want to get and click on balance inquiry as an option in internet banking? Not really. What I'd like to know is how much money I've got to spend, actually. Do I have enough money to go and buy a gift for my wife? That is what really concerns me. Because maybe my available balance is not really what I can spend, because then my mortgage payment comes next week, and then all my utility bills and my BT bill at the end of the month, and that's not really how much I can spend. So yes, balance inquiry is a back-end function which you guys put onto the front of face to your customers. But that's not really the useful information to me, because immediately when I see a balance, the next action I'm going to do in my head is take into account my outgoing payments till the end of the month. So why don't you do that online and make it easier for customers to understand how much money they have got to spend? Or do I really care about transaction history? Not really. It's a table with amounts, values, and descriptions of transactions. It is designed for machines to process. It's not designed for humans to go through a transaction history of 100 transactions. What I'd like to know is how much money I spend on household utility bills a month. That is a useful information for me, because maybe next month I'd like to cut that down. Or how much money I spend paying tabs or petty cash in a bar or in restaurants. That is useful information for me, but not individually as transactions. We also believe that, nowadays, crisis, everyone is trying to cut back. Budgeting is one of the innovative technology or innovative feature, which most people actually do. If you go onto an iPad or iPhone or App Store or even Android store, and you look at the most downloaded financial applications, they are all budgeting, budget tracking, financial analysis applications. And the reason for that is because customers clearly have this need. In the UK, some banks do that. Lloyds with Money Manager, Barclays with the Barclay card. And clearly there is a requirement, or there is an interest from customers to use these services. Also a complete net worth for customers, for example. It is sometimes very difficult to look at how much money you actually got with all your accounts and investments and everything else. Facebook transfer, Generation Y, yes, maybe it is sort of an interest or requirement from some of the young Generation Y customers. Clearly, we believe this would be, again, something which is very useful in the financial industry. If you think of Barclays and Ping It, which they just launched maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago, the numbers were impressive, how many downloads they got. And this is nothing else, just simple account transfer from one phone to another using a mobile number. Similarly to Facebook, just transferring it using a Facebook account. Brad King is a gentleman who is pioneering the simple bank idea. And what he is saying is that by 2015, your online self-service transactions will be through mobile. This is following the trend that mobile devices and mobile transactions and mobile data in general is growing year by year. And we will see a saturation point around 2015 when this will exceed traffic from traditional PCs or laptops. So clearly the financial industry will have to follow that. Mobile services will have to be a fairly significant, if not the most significant channels in a few years' time. Tablets are also included. This is increasingly popular, and I'm not saying that this may be your most important IT project for this year or next year, but this is clearly a trend which is not going to just pass by and die down very easily. The other topic which I'd like to leave you with is gamification in the financial services. This is basically an idea which has been taken on by many other industries, such as the airline industry, for example, where you collect miles, you collect points, which you can then redeem and exchange into other services. We believe that there is a business case to apply the same thing to banking and especially to online services. You can encourage your customers to financially behave in a responsible way, to try saving, to open an ISA. And then you can reward them with social points, with savings points, and with other points as well. And then they can redeem these points to actual tangible benefits, like a higher ISA rate. Okay, so that is, we believe, working in other industries very, very well. And this has the existence and a business case in financial industry as well. So again, just a final thought. We firmly believe that the online services and self-service digital channels is going to be, or is already, the most important channel for many of the banks. We truly believe that the kind of services which are in place for 90% of the majority of the banks are outdated, and there needs to be a change which should happen sooner or later. As a company, we this is what we do. We try to differentiate ourselves with usability, customer experience, and design. So if you have further questions, we have a booth just out there in the hall, so we're very happy to take your questions or any interest. Thank you very much.